The marketing process that I used prior was get rid of V-flyers. But cash I'm saying to you, the last transaction, I didn't have enough earnest money deposit. I had $1,000. Yeah, I took up another $1,000. They went within 5 days, couldn't do it. The contract went out. But when marketing, refire, I asked for earnest money deposit. So if you're interested,
Adapter, LCD projector. What's going on?
Do you have the other adapter for the LCD projector for PC?
The VGA cable?
Yeah, pledge. I mean, if not, Vicky can run out to the car, but I just want to see if maybe you had yours. How are ya?
so
Good.
for
How you doing? Steve.
I'm hang my license still. I'm going to be.
Oh, when are you going to get your license?
Okay, if I have my license, it's not active. I hang my license before you get active, right? So I'm surprised.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
There's an application fee, there's other fees, C-card, G-card,
Been to the
total
one of the German meetings, and I work at Pentagon, so it's easy to go down to Arlington at that one, and obviously to the other one. Now they have Hampton Inn on route one.
I mean, I have an idea.
It's on the way home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm about to meet you, right?
So are you in Virginia?
I'm in
So he
We're in
wants
Virginia, down in Richmond County.
to hang his license with me.
Go to South 95, South 95, Woodbridge,
Just the phone.
Manassas, and then South.
It's like $350 for E&O, 80. You gotta pay your E&O, it's like $350 for that.
And you're in
Arizona
Yeah,
insurance,
I'm
some real estate agent you never have.
studied.
That's by law.
I take the test next week.
Yeah, my wife's doing the same
$80 a
thing.
year for the
She's going to
technology
do that
fee.
with Jenny's taking all the
And I think it's
pre-tests.
like when you hit the agreement, like 600, 700.
Kelly Lee Lawrence.
To hang the license, you can
Okay,
start.
so you made it to the right.
And that's just to hang the
Just have to
license,
sign
you're
it.
still looking at MRS fees, you're still looking at, yeah, there's
My friend,
possibly to get started, you sign up to a few stuff.
Upside down,
If you
jumbo
sign up
low.
with one of them,
People who want to
like,
stay in their
the
home.
Out of the way.
for the next cycle, not only does it pay for that, but then you have to turn around, they'll prorate the next cycle. So if you pay $300 to get started and then they do another billing, you pay for the next set of billing. So I think that's when they start coming in. You would have to check with that particular MRS and after my agency system, the next billing cycle. So maybe tell you to wait until February. You've got to see what they say. I'm not sure, but I think January is when the new cycle starts.
Natasha, will you be the one answering the phone?
Okay, that stage is gonna be about 700.
Oh, no.
Start off with
Yes, you do.
take your
My
classes
dad
and all
was,
that.
oh my goodness.
I have my license.
The Hagen license is gonna be about 700.
Yeah. Me and Misha.
That's just a ballpark figure around it.
What about the G-card?
Now we
G card, each county is different. You can range anywhere from $695 yearly, I believe.
Or he'll be giving you.
For each.
Which one?
The first thing I should
Like, will you put it in, do you put it in his list? Do you call him? Is that how
You have to
you
sign up for it. If you're an active agent, you have to sign up for it.
saying, oh, we're not going to fund the government.
That can range from
So I haven't heard by
I don't use my license anymore, so it can range anywhere. I'm just my license is inactive. It can range
So we
between
got
65 and
it.
70.
I was doing 7.
You have to check it. Encouraging or either one.
I'll put it on the back.
Yeah, I think it's $695
Right now, so I'll put that. Gary.
You have at least a couple grand to start.
Yes.
At least I would say $2 grand. You have to have at least $2 grand ready to go to be able to pay for everything and be set for the year. It takes about $2 grand per year. And that's just fees that pop up.
Okay, all right.
And then refinance. When we buy the home,
You guys specialize in investments. Because I had my license previously, but I'm trying to specialize in the wholesale.
support.
You guys also teach wholesaling
Who don't want
process. See, I'm not using my license, but I have to go through a buyer's agent.
how long they've been in.
I want to become eventually my own buyer's agent by having my license with a broker. You guys also have a training program, right?
We do have a training.
What do you specialize in?
Well, it's multiple topics at this point. We're currently revising. Another reason why I'm here because I want to know what's needed, what's not, what people are really interested in. Like some essentially to fix it. Those sort of things. To be honest, I'm still familiarizing myself with what we teach now in terms of wholesale, but I'm quite sure I'm
Outside of wholesale,
it's very
They would have to go.
how to be
I'm a license with you guys. I mean, basically, you have a basic training,
One thing or another.
training curriculum. What would
Yeah,
that
we
entail?
were at next take, like I said, just started but there is a training program for new agents. What's your name? Bill, if you love your voice, give me your information, and I can find out tell y'all some more personal become a bill.
Do you have that online? Because I'm familiar with the website, but I don't have access to get general information.
It's the next stage flyers for people who are interested in doing becoming an agent. Oh, it's just no, that's it.
See, I'm also
Business class. You didn't bring any.
my job.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's please take our seats.
Before we get started, because what I'm gonna do for you is I'll set you up with something to go through in detail. I'll give you some email based on what's required and what's needed. Because I'm
You got BB. Anybody got this amount of notes for you? That's some serious real estate note taking. How old are they?
Oh, I got lots.
I do too. Well, I see some new faces. My name is Tammy Phelps. I'm the co-founder of District Room with my business partner Andre Johnson, and you guys have had the privilege of being in the presence of the Next Stage Realty's fearless leader, Mr. Sid Hameed. How's your morning been?
Great.
Good? What kind of things, I see some of you still taking notes. What kind of things have you guys been learning about this morning so far? Any ahas, any really powerful items that stand out for you that you're going to take into the new year? Anybody willing to share?
Greatest thing he said was something we can overlook. He did something over. That's the way it made you check your own limitations. That's a powerful thing I learned. Oh, good.
And how are you going to apply that, or what are you going to be doing with that? That's okay. What is your name? Mike, pleasure to meet you. Welcome. All right, anybody else willing to share something that you are going to be able to take away from this event this morning that you're going to be able to apply in your real estate investment business in 2013? So you guys are going to keep doing the same old thing?
Well, I think
You know what happens when you do the same old thing, right? You get the same old results, right?
I
I think there's gonna be an explosion in this area. Baltimore, DC, Maryland is going to be the #1 place for investors. And we have to position ourselves now to take advantage of that. My concern is what's happening with these REITs and these Wall Street firms creating these $1 million investment funds to squeeze out the individual investor. They're going to the banks and they're going, and buying all of these properties, and it's going to squeeze us out. So I just wanted to know what you all's thoughts about that was. Some people are partnering with them to be able to get the properties for them, and then you, just like a REIT, you start getting dividends from that relationship, where you're not having to go out and buy, fix up property, you just, invest in it. But I really want to get you all's views on, how the small investor competes with that, or what your strategies are for competing with that, because it seems like that's going to be the trend that's really going to be in place in the next 3 to 5 years.
I think it's a great question, and we'll both answer it. Sid, go ahead.
Okay, so let me, with the REITs, okay, they are coming, and they are being developed, but they are going after trophy properties. They're going after A neighborhoods and B neighborhoods. They're going after the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, like some of the stuff we were just talking about. But if you bought a house for $1 million, it's worth $7 million, and they're going after those kinds. But like Class C and Class D, where you have a lot of your upcoming neighborhoods, they're not really touching those kind of things. There's going to be plenty of stuff around. But what this means is, you got to work harder. You got to do more of what you're doing. You got to beat on more bushes. That's what this means. Because if they're coming in town, yeah, they're going to take the number of supply, so the supply is going to shrink. But that means instead of you making 20 calls, you got to make 100 calls. Instead you put in 3 hours, you got to put in 30 hours. That's all that means.
What I would like to share about that, because I'm a commercial investor, is there is no competition. There is no competition out there. What you hear on the media is sensationalized. REITs are multi-million, billion-dollar real estate investment trusts. They're looking for the greatest return over the longest period of time, which obviously is what we want to look for too. But they're more interested, honestly, in commercial assets. Multi-unit, commercial strip center, office building, all of that's brewing and it's coming back in. So the one thing as an investor that you got to understand about the real estate business, and I say this all the time, it's relationship based. This whole entire business is relationship based. And so it's up to you to nurture, cultivate, and build relationships with sellers, find out what their challenge is so that you can be the solution provider. The average single family home, duplex, quad, 5 units and under, that most of us in this room are looking to acquire to renovate, rehab, or buy and sell, REITs aren't interested in those. They're not, they're too small. And I'm not saying we're too small, but what I'm saying is it's a paradigm shift. Thinking that all the REITs are gonna come in and take up everything is a scarcity mentality. And you gotta take a look at yourself. Are you coming from a scarcity mentality or an abundance mentality? You gotta find the challenge or the problem to the seller's issue and then solve it. And that's what this business is all about. I don't think there is any competition. I don't think there's anything at all to worry about. But, I love competition if it is out there, because it keeps all of us on our toes and makes us take our game to the whole next level. But great question.
As far as commercial, can any of us fit into any of these, do you have any strategies or suggestions or ideas? Commercial, it sounds so vague, it sounds so, it sounds untouchable.
Can you elaborate just a little bit more on your question?
For example, I've been developing some commercial stuff too. But it takes a lot of money and expertise and no problem getting. I have my own ideas. I was just wondering if anything here can apply to anything you're pitching or anything you're suggesting or teaching.
In regard to the question that was just answered?
This thing is a one-by-one.
Okay, I wasn't here this morning. So because I wasn't here this morning, I don't think I'm going to be able to answer your question because I don't know.
How do you get involved in commercial real estate?
Go ahead.
Well, commercial real estate, one of the things that I do is, you know, I look at CoStar, heard of CoStar, and LoopNet.
Right.
I also contact the Keller Williams
Right, but
and
you
Coldwell
buy-
Banker brokers.
You buy already stuff that's already.
Yeah, you can look at, I'm looking at office buildings, small office buildings,
Right,
small apartment buildings,
right.
small shopping centers, that make sense? Of course, yeah.
Are you wanting to know how to
Yeah,
get
no, I mean,
involved into
No,
commercial
no, I
real
already
estate?
know how, I'm just wondering how how a group like this can take advantage of something like that, maybe joining, maybe,
Partnering.
maybe I could talk to people individually and put it together, and then we could go after, tackle an elephant, as they say.
Sure.
Well, I could answer that part of your question. First of all, it's being aligned with like-minded people. It's being
Right.
part of a real estate investment association like the District REIA, where you network and meet other people that are involved in
Right.
that. Commercial real estate is very broad. You know, you've got multi-unit, you know, you've got the development, you've got land, you've got student housing, senior housing. You've got to pick the niche that works for you, but we here at District REIA provide, I feel, the most profound levels of education to an investor to help support their personal growth and their business development of whatever area of real estate they want to go into. And I happen to actually be an educator of commercial. So, if you have any more questions, I can help you about that. I'll be speaking in the new year and doing a very big presentation. Any other questions?
I know
Steve.
you're into mobile home units.
That's one area. I'm into multi-unit, which is 3
All right,
areas.
multi-unit.
Mhm.
What's the multi-unit story in this area, the Washington DC, Prince George's? I think with the rents being what they are, that there's a great opportunity, but is it the governments don't want mobile home parks, or what is it?
When you're speaking specifically about a mobile home community, that's a very, very, very specific niche. I deal in self-storage facilities, I deal in apartment buildings, and if you look at multi-unit as a whole, it's providing family housing. And with the collapse of the residential market, all of those people that own homes that were forced out of their homes had to now rent or go home with their parents. I don't know too many people who ended up going home with their parents. And so because of that, as a property owner, or AKA a landlord, you now have an unbelievable opportunity to position yourself for literally the next 10 to 20 years. Because these vacancies are decreasing, occupancies are increasing, investors are buying up multi-units left and right. That's a lot of what you're seeing the REITs go into, but it's market driven and it's market specific. Our local market is a very expensive market. To find multi-unit in this area that meets your needs, to have the funds to be able to acquire it, if you have to reposition it or rehab it, you know, it's gonna depend. But a multi-unit could consist of a duplex, you know, something very, very small like that. Those are all over. So I feel as a property owner, now more than ever, is the time to be into multi-unit and commercial because it creates long-term passive income. But other people have different choices. I got started in single family, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But in terms of a mobile home community, there's mobile home communities here. They're further and farther outside of the immediate beltway, but they are here. There's many in Alexandria, Virginia, for example, all up and down Route 1. Those are multi-million dollar properties. So, you know, that's just my niche. That's what works for us, and, you know, that's what we enjoy doing. Did that answer your question? Any other questions? Any questions from this morning that you didn't quite understand, or you need a little bit more clarity on, or a specific topic? Debbie?
I'd like to hear a little bit more, since you were talking about you put in a few offers and you kind of got into these bidding wars. And to me, that just kind of sounds like, damn, we're back at that cycle right before everything went straight to the toilet again. You know, what are your thoughts on that? And are we, you know, right on the edge of being there again?
Well, I mean, like where we were when the market started taking off, okay, in terms of where we are now, we're kind of at the same place because the supply had shrunk. But one of the reasons the supply had shrunk because the banks have also been sitting on a lot of inventory. There's this so-called shadow inventory that's supposed to be released. What they've been doing is they've been selling chunks of stuff to large people, right? They just had an auction for like $50 billion worth of bad assets.
A lot of tapes.
A lot of bank tapes and things like that. So if, in terms of for our local market, okay, I mean, I put in 30 offers last week and I got outbid, so that means next week I gotta put in 100. You just gotta do more of it. Unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of cash that's floating around. But what you can do is, you know, go after the homeowners, right? Send out yellow letters, send out postcards, you know, call. We use a product called zbuys.com. They have leads in there. We use the redx.com. There's expired leads and withdrawal properties. You have people's phone numbers in there. That means you just got to do a lot more of it. But the deals are there.
Huh?
If it were easy, everybody would be doing it.
Well, it is easy. It's how you choose to spend your time.
No, I'm just saying, you need to work at it, it's just not gonna fall in your lap. You need to go out and look and research and analyze.
Yeah, that's it. But you also, everybody in here knows how to ride a bike. Then pick it up and start doing it. Same thing. Just gotta do more of it and really be good at it.
There's a lot of times we fall off the bike. There's a lot of times we skin our knees, but we get right back up and keep going. You know, and a lot of times you hit brick walls. You gotta have contingency plans and what do I do if this happens and how do I deal with this if this happens, and you know, you're right, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. So I always say, you know, how bad do you want it? You know, how bad do you want financial freedom? How bad do you want financial independence? You know, it's not, Sid's not lucky. I'm not lucky. You know, Andre, Vicky, Debbie, we're not lucky. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of determination, a lot of passions, and a lot of perseverance. But great question. Anybody else have any other questions from this morning? Or any questions in general? That maybe something is sitting on your mind and you'd like to get it answered. Throw it out there. Gary.
Yeah, I had, I was working on my first deal for a while. We got a couple of houses on the contract. And had this particular property, and this is, I want to find out what could have been done differently, because the end is a little muddy for me. Property was, the owner went to the hospital, his sister wanted to get rid of the property, you know, I got the property, got a realtor involved, got the property, made an offer, you know, bank rejected the offer, came back, bank gave us what they would take for the property, put in another offer. Thing was, there were 6 other offers at the same price that came back, and then they put in the, you know, best and finals, and I got caught up in the best and final portion. You know, I really my intention was to wholesale property. We went to best and final. You know, the offer that came in was higher than all of the others, and I just got in a situation where a possibility of losing the actual fee for wholesaling, and don't know what I could have done differently to, you know, instill a better outcome, but you know, just kind of put it out there, trying to figure out what could have been done differently.
I'm gonna let Sid answer that because he does so much with banks right now in residential. I think he.
Yeah, because I talked to you about it earlier.
Yeah.
So you got 2 agents involved. You got an agent, you got the other agent involved. As the other agent has a buyer that gives you a higher price.
Right.
And you got it at a lower price, but you're not an agent. And you're worried about how you will, you know, get your money.
Right.
Well, that's why you got to become an agent.
Well, actually, I take my exam next week.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Look, the National Association of Realtors is getting tough. Okay. I was just at this meeting in Silver Spring for G-Card. Okay, they just hired Kathleen Conley, I think his name is. She's the new chairperson there. they're going through all these complaints that they've had for the last 10 years, and they're really tightening up. And one of the areas that they are going to be tightening up on these loosey-goosey type transactions, right? So the way real estate works is you have to be a real estate professional. And if you want to do wholesaling and things of that nature, you can do those things, but I tell you, going in the next 10 years, 15 years, it's going to get a lot tighter. And so they want, just like the mortgage industry, they got every mortgage guy to become a loan officer that's licensed. Even with the home inspector, every inspector has to be licensed. Same thing with realtors. So the boards are really tightening up on this stuff. So in this particular transaction, if you have a relationship and you can somehow, you know, get your money, but it's going to be tricky.
And sometimes, Gary, it's out of your control.
Yeah, a little bit,
You know,
yeah. It seems to be, yeah.
and that's, you know, 6 on one hand, half dozen of the other. You want to be in control of the situation, but when you look at a real estate transaction as a whole, has anybody ever sat down and counted up how many hands are in that deal? A lot, you know, and with that many hands in there, that many people in there, there's so many moving parts, so many balls in the air, God bless you. And sometimes it has nothing, God bless you. Sometimes it doesn't have anything at all to do with what you did. It's just the circumstances of the consequences, you know, that followed afterwards. You know, and it happens. You know, it's just, what are you gonna do about it? Are you going to wallow in it and move on, or sit there and wallow in it, or are you just gonna say, okay, what did I learn from this? Now I gotta move on. Sometimes there are things to learn from it, sometimes there's not. Sometimes you just gotta move on. Absolutely. Any other questions anybody has? No? All right, you guys ready for round 2?
Yep.
Following and segueing on the last conversation, not conversation, but the last question actually that Gary just asked. How many of you in the room are actually agents? Raise your hands high, be proud. Fantastic. How many of you in the room are investor agents? A few of you. Fantastic. All right, what is an investor agent? Dorothy, what is an investor agent? Let me help you?
Yes.
Okay. An investor agent is an agent who completely understands what the world of investing is all about. Just like Gary and Sid were talking about, Gary is an investor, correct? Had he been an agent, could the outcome of that situation been different?
Sure.
Right? It could have. So there are, needless to say, features of being an investor agent that are very different than just being a realtor or an agent. I am an agent. I was a realtor initially, and when I got into this business, we were taught corporate real estate. We learned how to do protecting and working for the buyer to get the best deal, representing the seller to get the best price, but ultimately who we represented was who? The broker, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That is a model that works very well. I was with Long & Foster, I was with Weichert, I was with RE/MAX, all fantastic companies, just a different model. Well, becoming an investor, it actually became somewhat challenging because we found that a lot of agents didn't understand what investors wanted. Investors put deals out there, they put multiple deals out there, it's not emotional type transactions, and it became very, very frustrating. So between Sid and Andre and I, Next Stage Realty, District REIA, and Brickfront Properties, we all came together and said there has got to be truly a marriage where the agent and the investor collectively understand each other, can work together, and one of the benefits and the powers that I'm going to share this with you of being an investor agent is you get to tap into different types of revenue streams that as an agent you can't as an investor you can't otherwise normally tap into. because Andre and Sid and I are active investors today out in the field, and we run our companies the way that we do, we know first and foremost the only way to growth, both personally and with your business as a real estate investor agent, is through your education. That's the only way. We believe that by becoming an investor agent,